I urge the government of Israel to exercise maximum restraint.
The international response has been bizarre at best. I mean, at the moment, Israel's doing what it's got to do, and it has some international backing behind it. But Justin Trudeau, who literally was closing people's bank accounts who were protesting against him in Canada, who is no moral arbiter of anything, here's what he had to say just a few days ago about Israel's actions in Gaza.
The human tragedy that is unfolding in Gaza is heart-wrenching, especially the suffering we see in and around the Al-Shifa hospital. I have been clear that the price of justice cannot be the continued suffering of all Palestinian civilians. Even wars have rules. All innocent life is equal in worth, Israeli and Palestinian. I urge the government of Israel to exercise maximum restraint. As the world is watching, on TV, on social media, we're hearing the testimonies of doctors, family members, survivors, kids who've lost their parents. The world is witnessing this, the killing of women and children, of babies. This has to stop. J'exhorte le gouvernement d'Israël.
He is evil. I don't know how to put it any other way. He is evil. Who the hell does he think he is, that he can tell another Western democracy how they should defend their men, women, and children? Mayra, can you talk a little bit about the things that Israel actually has done, like dropping leaflets and things of that nature, and the things that Hamas has done to maximize civilian casualties? Maybe that'll enlighten Justin Trudeau just a little bit.
I mean, if you would like me to talk about it, we're never going to end this show. But I think there's something that's this is actually a scary trend to talk about, because I think we're going to see more and more of this. People who came out at the beginning being all like, "Oh, we support Israel," but then the issue with this is really the fact that he is putting the responsibility on Israel. I mean, Netanyahu responded to this tweet, but we'll
get to that in a moment.
But I think that Israel has gone above and beyond. The truth is, Israel could have completely blitzed and bombed all of Gaza in the first 3 days, and this whole thing would have been over. We have the military capacity, and yet you could say it's because of the hostages, but I don't think that's true. I think it's also true. I think it's to do with the fact that we actually value human life, and Hamas does not. And that is the basis of all actions. And the fact that there are people in the West who still are not capable of understanding that the responsibility for every single civilian casualty in this entire war from beginning to end lies with one group and one group only, and that is Hamas. To point the fingers on Israel and to say to them to have restraint, it's not just idiotic, it's pathetic. And I think you need to ask yourself, as a leader of a country, what would you do? What would you do? Like, really, you would hold restraint? More to the fact, I don't see somebody like Justin Trudeau putting his skin in the game and offering for the Gazans to come live in Canada. No, they're just happy to sit and watch by and say, this is what Israel's doing wrong, and this is how Israel should act. He hasn't visited, he hasn't seen, and he's a populist and he drives me insane.
I don't think I have to ask you a question. Just talk about Justin Trudeau.
Sure. I think I know how to get him on Israel's side. All we have to do is tell him that Hamas is not vaccinated.
Exactly.
Simple solution. He would turn against them in a second.
Yeah.
And not to throw another impression into it, but I have heard Jordan Peterson describe Justin Trudeau as pure persona.
Yeah.
He's pure persona. It's like, the ball's in your court, Trudeau. It didn't take very long for the lip service of being a Western pro-Israel country allied with Israel to completely fall on its face.
I want to read Bibi's response to Justin Trudeau. He tweeted this out. He said, "It is not Israel that is deliberately targeting civilians, but Hamas that beheaded, burned, and massacred civilians in the worst horrors perpetrated on Jews since the Holocaust. While Israel is doing everything to keep civilians out of harm's way, Hamas is doing everything to keep them in harm's way. Israel provides civilians in Gaza humanitarian corridors and safe zones. Hamas prevents them from leaving at gunpoint. It is Hamas, not Israel, that should be held accountable for committing a double war crime, targeting civilians while hiding behind civilians. The forces of civilization must back Israel in defeating Hamas barbarism. Do you think that there's also an inherent asymmetry in that Israel is the only country that's ever asked to explain themselves? And perhaps if one day they just decided not to explain themselves anymore, like everybody else, that it actually might behoove them in a weird way?
Yeah, I know. I find that Israel, in a way, is in this abusive relationship with the Western world that condemns them. And to the extent that they cave to it and enable it and try to showcase that they're better in that sense, they only get further punished for it.